Welcome to the third season of the Ashlars podcast. We are thrilled about our progress and, more importantly, grateful for your support and encouragement. We are going in strong with ever more energy and passion into the third season of our humble little initiative. That is, to show the true light of Freemasonry by being India's first and only podcast on Freemasonry. In this season, we continue to highlight papers by Indian Masons and showcase the wealth of Masonic knowledge and wisdom in India. Additionally, we will also shine some light on various other degrees beyond the craft, with a view to help Masons discover the true joy of being a Mason and expand their horizons. As a disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely of the participants and do not represent any official positions, including those of any Grand Lords or constituents thereof. Best efforts have been made to keep the conversation on the level for brethren and non-Masons alike. Hey folks, me again, and we have winners. That's right, the 7 Elephants clothing giveaway along with the Ashlars did a quiz, and a lot of you participated. We were quite overwhelmed with the responses, and we have a lot of winners this time. So we had a clear winner, that is Brother Sanjay Ranganathan from Lodge Murray Hammock Lodge 90. However, we have quite a few runner-ups. So I will now call out all the names in order. So here goes. Brother Varun Bhupalam, Lodge Tirunal, number 179. Brother Kiran Kumar P, Lodge Bangalore, number 15. Brother Matthews Varki, Lodge Meridian, number 287. Brother Parag Bhide, Lodge Royal Connaught, EC 2377. Brother Anuj Hamilton, Lodge Vivekananda, number 367. Brother P.S. Praveen, Lodge Ashoka, number 93. Brother G. Vinod, also from Lodge Ashoka, number 93. And finally, Brother Sunil Kumar Kohli, Lodge North Star, number 379. So congratulations to all the winners from our side. And if you do know them, please do send a congratulations to them. And to all the winners, well, you will be getting an email from the Ashlars very soon, if not already. And please supply the information so that we can hand over the the gifts of your labor over to you sooner than later. And with that, enjoy the show. Hello and welcome, folks, to another episode of the Ashlars. This is the season 3, where we are delving into the different kinds of degrees that Masonry comes along with. As a new Mason, or even as a Mason who's maybe in the second or newly into third degree, you might always ask a question, what more? This is what more. So stay tuned for a lot more information on the various different degrees in Masonry. Today we are covering Mark Master Mason degree. Now, to think about it, it has a familiar term, Master Mason. I'm sure those of you who have been listening to our podcast will be familiar with Master Mason, which is nothing but the third degree. However, there is a Mark Master Mason as well. What is the Mark? Why is it similar to a Mark Master Mason or like a Master Mason? That's what we'll be delving deep into. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Rinesh to sort of elaborate a little more on this degree. So Rinesh, over to you.
Thank you very much, Ashir. I think you expressed it perfectly well, that we have come together to understand more about all those degrees which Freemasonry offers. It's obviously, we started the journey, right? We started the journey with obviously our craft. We expanded on that. We read so many papers about those things, and we realized that this is an ocean which I don't think we will be able to traverse. Now, with that understanding, should I just concentrate on that? Should I actually have an aim where I will only traverse to this or try to cross this ocean, or should I start exploring other oceans? Best part is, I was recently reading an article, right? How many oceans are there in the world? So obviously five, six, seven, whatever nonsense numbers we wanted to add, we added Arctic, Atlantic, Indian, this, that, and all. Then came one very interesting answer. What are oceans? Oceans is obviously a big body. And if you notice, right, all these oceans are actually connected. They are different, but they are connected. And hence there is a common term which has been added now in the scientific and what do you call society. It is called the world's ocean. Very interesting. I was like, oh, dude, this is very lazy term for us to say world's ocean. But no, it's not. Actually, I started realizing that Atlantic and Pacific do meet. Pacific and Indian also do meet, right? They actually meet everywhere. They meet now. Obviously, they are different. They don't merge together, but they do meet, and that is the most interesting part. And that's where Freemasonry's orders are also like that. They are different, but they do meet. Where is it that they meet? They meet in the hearts of men. They meet as Freemasonry. And that's the overall idea. So obviously we started that journey. We thought about it and we were so excited that we obviously, as I said, I wanted to show my face to this and say, you know what? It's no longer voice. It's the face which is going to come up with that excitement which we have. And we covered Holy Royal Art chapter. At least last month we actually did that. Now, finally, we are coming into Mark. And that's what you and I wanted to talk about. And I think we just spoke about it a bit earlier as well on what these interesting pieces are. So, yeah, yes, Shishir.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing when you said the world's ocean, right? Um, I was, I don't know where, some random website, and they had the demarcated map of the Pacific Ocean.
Ah,
All right. So essentially, if we were to say where does Pacific Ocean start and where does it end, they
and
had sort of demarcated that. So
demarcated it.
to look at it, it was interesting, but at the same time, it seems so unnecessary. I
Yeah,
mean,
we marked it.
yeah, I mean, the point obviously is true that all the oceans are connected, and for international navigation reasons and whatnot, we have to put a line somewhere, be it on water or
Exactly.
sand on land, right? But the point being, and what I want to highlight rather here is, uh, Mark Mason degree, your craft degrees, or chapter, anything. All of these are nothing but oceans, right? They just have different names, but they provide the exact same thing, which is nothing but knowledge, right?
Knowledge.
So if you are seeking wisdom, if you are seeking knowledge, if you are seeking your further growth in masonry from an intellectual standpoint, this is it, right? Different names because different kind of legend, different kind of story, different kind of teaching, but pointing you in the same direction. It's like, let me come out of the earth for a minute, right? Just going back, the considering the background that I have right now, there's a earth behind me and all that. So earth is one place where you can live, but then there are many other planets with different legends and different stories to themselves, right? But they all revolve around the sun, different durations, different orbits, different distances, but the sun is a anchor, which is nothing but the light. And for us, it's a light of masonry, nothing else. Over to you, man.
Thank you, Shishir. I think this is exactly what we wanted, a kind of a start to what Mark Masonry is. So now coming to what Mark Masonry is, and before I jump into the overall aspect, where do you get Mark Masonry? You get it everywhere, the best part. And considering that we're talking about Freemasonry in India, under the Grand Lodge of India, we have the Order of Mark Master Masons. It is governed by the Grand Lodge of Mark Master Masons of India. And obviously, it has its own administrative features and all that thing. That's secondary. Similar to that, we obviously have it under English Constitution as well. We have a Mark Master Masons order, a degree as well over there, an order as well over there, which is governed from the Mark Masons Hall in England. And obviously, they have their own district, they have their own rules and regulations, constitutions, and all of those things are there. That's how it works. Interestingly, Mark is also available for Scottish as well as Irish Masons in India. Shishir and I have very excitedly decided this, that we would like to cover the Scottish Freemasonry's mark and the Irish Freemasonry's mark completely separate as a dedicated episode for that, so that brethren who actually want to learn about those can at least go directly to that episode and understand that on what exactly it is. Because we need, technically Shish's answer was, we need to give credit, we need to give it due credit. It is not just a surpassing just one message, or rather one a postscript line in a letter. No, it is not like that. It needs its credit, and that's exactly what we are going to do now. For the explanation of what Mark Master Masons actually does, we are bringing the England and the Indian together into this, because more or less we are very similar to that concept, except for a couple of administrative features. But overall, the story, the way it has been governed, it's actually very similar. So Mark Master Masons, Mark Masonry, whatever Mark degree, it is available in India. It is available in most probably in your own Freemasons Hall as well, whichever city you are right now stationed at. Or you can reach out to your craft lodge secretary and ask him that, yes, please, if you don't mind, please do add. At least I can say that in my craft lodge, as well as even in Shishir's craft lodge, there is a line which we mention, and it comes under the heading called the Appendant Orders of Masonry, where we tell the craft member that for advancement, talk about Holy Royal Arch, as well as Mark Master Masons. We actually give that two lines over there, which even is there in even in my lodge. So that kind of gives you a, what should I say, a glimpse, or rather just an important notice that, oh, there is something there. It is not just that my 3 degrees are done and I can just sit back and I'm like, okay, now I don't even have to go to a craft lodge meeting. No, you can expand depending upon the story or depending upon what you want to learn. And that's exactly where it goes. Shishir.
Yeah. So that's an important thing you bring up, about knowing what more is there beyond the 3 degrees. And, we'll elaborate a little more on this, of course, in due course of this episode. But the Mark Mason degree really adds a lot of value at a time when it comes in. You know, typically it happens that once a person becomes a Master Mason, which is a third degree in craft, they end up joining Mark. So when you do that, you kind of feel that there was this one piece of puzzle which just came out of nowhere and just clicked, and now the picture seems complete. You know, so it not only adds to that legend that you will be told in all the 3 degrees, but at the same time, the central teaching of that is something that you would identify with right away. It is so close to normal human life. It is amazing that I don't know how old this legend is that we speak of in Mark, but even today it holds true. And
That's true.
just a sneak preview, the central teaching says no matter what, keep doing what you're good at, because you are here for a reason and you have to discover that. Believe in yourself.
Yes.
Over to
So,
you.
so I think Shishir, you just started the right point. Now, I'll just jump into the overall concept of what Mark Masonry is and what exactly the story is all about. So, we have always spoken about craft. The craft story talks about the King Solomon's temple, the first temple built in the name of God in Jerusalem. So, it is all about building the temple. Okay, and just to reiterate once again, for those who are listening us for the first time, this temple rebuilding, or rather the building of the temple, is not what we in Freemasonry believe is not about the actual physical structure. We believe that that temple needs to be built in the heart, in our own heart, so that God can reside in over there. And why God? Why not anybody else? Absolutely fine. We consider God to be the most powerful, the omnipotent, the omniscient, and omnipresent being, right? When something like this concept is actually there in your heart, and you believe that you are part of that one, your mind opens up, or rather, your actions are defined based on that. I know there are a lot of books, religious books, as well as other philosophical books, which will talk about, oh, what if you do wrong? What will God punish you? All that kept aside, being good is not that difficult if everybody wants to follow. That's the plan. Being good in the jungle is not. That's a different thing. Yeah, yes, you should.
So I'll just add one point to this thing what you were saying about bringing God into yourself, right? So let's be inclusive and also say even if you're an atheist, right? I mean, we are all humans, so we'll always have different degrees and gradients and whatever. But to generalize it in a way, let me put it this way. We are talking about building a temple. Why? Think about the time where these legends have even come from, because masonry is not yesterday's jam, right? It's a pretty ancient thing. So it's been coming. What we have today is basically a distillation of all that knowledge and thinking. So it's a temple because back in those days that was a most aspirational thing. I mean, as a human, what best can you do, or what is the best place to be, right? You're going through hardships and whatnot, you need some sort of hope, a kernel of hope. You go to the temple and pray and whatever. So building that important structure was like an ultimate act of doing something great. Now that you have done it, what is the space for, right? You can go there, but then what? Like, so that's that concept of God residing over there sort of comes through, right? That's what gives you hope. That's why you go there and do whatever you do. Now, whether you believe in God or not, or what kind of God you believe in, is besides the point. To what Rinesh just said, it's about ourselves, right? And whether you're trying to have a healthy life, whether you're trying to build your mind, right? Whatever it might be, that is a temple that you're running after, right? You're trying to recover. You're improving the temple that you are. Now, the God residing in it is nothing but your own thoughts, your own actions, your own motivation to do good, so to speak. And good, again, I'm not saying from a religious standpoint or Masonic standpoint. Good is good, right? No matter which angle you look at it from. You either can abuse a person, or you can maybe just not abuse a person. So that's typically how you can look at it. And I just want to make, why I'm delving on this a little more is because I kind of feel that a sentence can be um, interpreted in many different ways, right? But when we bring certain typecasted things like temple and God, people might sort of feel that, okay, this probably is different from what I'm thinking it is. Right. So I just want to make it very clear that while masonry does talk about all of these things, ultimately it boils down to you as an individual. And that is why we say making good men better, right? We are not saying we're going to make good men spiritually better, religiously. No, good men better. How you do it is up to you. And that is where, again, this degree elaborates on that in a different way. Dinesh, sorry, I took a
True.
little too much time, but over to you.
No, no, no. I think that this absolutely added on to what we wanted to add about. So as I said, right, the story is obviously about King Solomon's temple in the craft. Mark brings the same concept. I know in chapter we spoke about completely different, and all those members who are members of Holy Royal Art chapter suddenly realize there is something different. There is a gap. By the way, there is a gap. Obviously, the King Solomon's temple is there, then it is not there. Suddenly in chapter you say, oh, this is something completely different. This is a different story altogether. However, in Mark, when you come, you suddenly go back to that same temple. So you are suddenly realize like, okay, I thought there was a chronology to it. There is no chronology to these things. And we will come to one episode where we will actually explain you the chronology based on the biblical timeline on where each of these degrees come. That includes some other degrees, some other orders which we are going to bring into place. So what starts as the building of King Solomon's temple in the third degree, and this is only for those who are members, there are certain terms which are used, which will get clear when you join Mark. There is somebody called as an overseer, and there is only one place in the third degree in Master Mason degree in your craft where that word overseer comes in. Those overseers come here. And once when you join, obviously, once when you actually join this degree or this order, you will automatically understand what those overseers do, what exactly they happen. Now, here the idea is there is a person who is in Mark Master Mason degree concept. He is supposed to be a fellow craft, not a master mason. He is a fellow craft. And as a fellow craft, what has happened is he has learned a lot of knowledge of like he has learned some knowledge about how to build those stones, how to exactly to carve them properly and all, how does it fit and everything. He has come to this place. And by the way, this story is based on English and Indian. So please, those who are looking forward towards the Scottish one, hold on. We are going to come to that story also. But right now, I'm talking about the English and Indian concept. So when they come in here, they come with the concept that, okay, I've learned something. Now I need to know how do I make this my own. And that's where the concept of mark, the word mark comes over here. He is allowed to put a mark on his work, a mark which is chosen by him. Now, this is where Shishir and I, before we started this episode and before we were talking about, stumbled upon something very interesting. Which, by the way, not that Shishir and I did not know about it, not that you would have not known about it, our listeners and viewers. You would have definitely heard about it. But this is where we actually found a really amazing book, which I'm going to ask Shishir to talk about in some time. But the concept is, as a person, I join in, I get to learn about a mark, which mark is given to me, or rather, I choose the mark. And I use that mark in all of my stone, in all of my work. Now, think about it. Think about it in the current scenario. Your emails, your signature. Your letters, your signature. Yours sincerely, yours fraternally, whatever it is there. Why do you write it? I can just quietly write something and finish it off. Why do I write it? To showcase that it is my work. It is me who has written this. This is not something which must have started somewhere in the medieval times, that somebody was just putting in a paper saying that, oh, Queen Victoria asked us this work. No. How do I know that is Queen Victoria's work? With the seal, with maybe with the signature or the autograph which you would have put, or at least the seal. I'm assuming, pretty sure it was the seal which was there, or a special paper which was given, that paper which is only by them, right? Think about it. Your note, the bearer. I give the bearer the sum of so and so, so and so. Who does it? The governor does it, right? Why does he do it? So that he actually allows you to do that, so that he gives you the authority of using it. The same thing goes for that same stone, which interestingly, listeners, these stones are found across all the known big buildings. Some of them have got eroded, obviously, because of weather conditions, but they are always there. We have found this not only in Europe, but even in India. And for the India part, I would like Shishir to tell us what he and I found out just before we started this episode.
Yeah, so this is one of those happy discoveries, I would say. We're just searching through stuff, and then we came across this book. Let me go to the title page. Yeah, it says Indian Masons Marks of the Mughal Dynasty. And check out the name, by Brother A. Gorham, 8 Degree Rosicrucian Society. This book was published back in 1911, it seems. And as I was scrolling through this, I came across some of the marks that have been left on Allahabad fort walls and buildings. And, in the top row itself, you can see there's a couple of swastikas, there is a square plus sign, there's a David star or star maybe. Then there's even a square and compass. So yeah, continuing on to this, it shows many different symbols. There's Humayun's mausoleum, which has quite a few. There also there's a swastika that I can see. So yeah, I mean, think about it. There is this whole concept. I feel if you just think about it, it's a very logical thing, right? It's not an isolated European concept to leave a mark on the stone and then get your payment or whatever. At the end of the day, in those days, how do you even give a proof that this stone I only did? No one had an iPhone making a reel out of themselves and crafting that stone and saying, see, I'm doing it, so this is mine, kind of thing. No. You had to literally leave a mark on the stone and then take it to someone and say, this is my mark, here's a stone, here's a mark over there, sort of give me my payment or whatever. Same thing. The same concept runs through over here. Anish.
And just to add that, we spoke about this, or rather, we found this in the Mughal dynasty. All those what do you call the structures which were built during that time. Obviously, these are old. These are way, way, way old. Somewhere 1200, 1300, 1400, and during that time it has been there. Not only just that, if you actually go further back, right, you will find out in some of those ancient South Indian temples, as well as some of those North Indian temples which still survived, right? Those stone structures, especially the stone structures, you will still find it over there. See, today we don't put that kind of a stone in any of those temples. Sorry, we do not put that kind of mark in any of those temples. The reason being, it's much more organized today. Like we know that we have, let's say, for example, a marble structure or some stone structure. We say that, okay, this much has to be done. And whoever is there, they would have made a note about the 20, 30 laborers who would have come, who have done work on that. And obviously, out of that, these things have come out. That's absolutely fine. But in the olden time, there was a different or rather a robust way of actually noting it down. How much have you done? And and in all those stones, where are those marks? So that I'm able to actually get a note of the number of stuff which has been done by me, and that is what is there. So there are many temples over there where all that symbols have actually been found. Some of them, as I said, as eroded, but they're actually there. So even in the 5th century or the 4th century AD, whatever temples are there, they're still available. Yes, Shishir.
As you were saying that, one thing just hit my mind, and I'm sure Inesh, you will also laugh when I say this. I'm drawing a parallel with the time sheeting that we do these days. When he said, "How much have you done?" that was the first thing that hit my mind. It's like, oh my God, it's like doing a timesheet or asking your team that, okay, guys, productivity is going down the drain. What's happening? What are you doing?
No, no, I think I kind of like that point that, see, in the timesheet, at least also what I mentioned is, okay, this is the work which I did, this is 8 hours, and this is anyway. Yeah, 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 that's absolutely fine. I think that's exactly where that concept right from the beginning has always been there. So when somebody sees it in Mark Master Mason degree and you're like, oh wow, this is very interesting. Yes, it is interesting. Why? Because it was done during that time. So we have chosen mark. You and I have also chosen a mark for ourselves, and we have that with us. A very interesting story. So all those who would like to learn more about it, please make sure that you kind of join that so that you get that idea. Now, the concept which we were talking, or either the underlying and the most important basic concept is do your work. Keep doing your work, and somewhere in future that work will be rewarded. You might not feel that that work is not getting rewarded, and in the vast scheme of things you will not even realize it, but do the work.
And not only keep doing your work, ensure that you improve also. And
Exactly.
just to add one side note to this, I would say I would rather bring in this idea that don't be afraid of failure, right? uh, Rather see failure as a way to improve, because failure teaches you something, provided you are willing to see that as a teaching or not, right? Because very typically it happens that we tend to demonize failure, saying that whatever happens, you do not fail, or failure is not an option. Well, I'm sorry, failure is always an option, not from the standpoint that, okay, I'm going to fail and it's going to be fine. No, 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 not that way. It's more like, when you're learning something, you will obviously fail, but then you learn from that failure and you make sure you don't repeat it, right? That's where you can see you have learned and now you're making a new kind of a mistake, which again teaches you, right? So that is the whole point. You keep doing your work, but the point is you keep learning, you keep improving. You will reach an ultimate point somewhere, but you won't happen like this. It won't happen instantly. It's not a TikTok, it's not a reel where in 15 seconds or 1 minute you just have your fun and then you scroll on. Sorry,
Exactly.
life doesn't work that way. Real life is slow.
So yeah, exactly. So obviously this story also kind of tells you that, oh, we did some work, we kind of showcased it, it didn't look nice or something happened. I just don't want to elaborate, because when you actually go through that right ceremony, it kind of just gives you that overall feeling, yes, this is exactly what it is, and it kind of clicks you. Now I want to come to the history of it. Where exactly did this Mark Master Mason degree actually come from? Because see, it's always good to come up and say, why do I need this? And I think, Shishir, we have found out some good answers about this on our own understanding, as well as something which we found online as well. But why? The most important point is, where did it come from? Where exactly did it come from? And as Shishir and I mentioned, yes, Mark Master Masons, or rather marking your own work, has been there for some time, but somehow it actually got into the overall degree in Freemasonry as well. And this is something which I found online as well, and which you will also find. The first mention of a person, or sorry, of a brother being made a Mark Mason was, at least in England, was in a lodge in Newcastle in January of 1756. Okay, now, not much of a mention of that. He said that he received the mark. That's very interesting. He received the mark. It's not clear how exactly the degree was done, what all, because these are old records, so some of them have obviously got lost. Then the earliest proper record, or rather a written record of these things, is available in England in, now listen to this one, in an Royal Arch chapter number 257 at Portsmouth in 1769, when several brethren were made Mark Masons and Mark Masters. So it's a chapter in which Mark degree was given. So just imagine how the story, how it was actually formed, or it was actually performed. Mark Masonry, as I mentioned, when a person comes in, right, he's a fellow craft. He is a person who's actually still learning on how to make those things structure. And he has come to that level where he has understood. And now he is officially allowed to put a mark on that stone so that he can say that, yes, now I'm ready to receive my wages in a different style or whatever it is, because I've done my apprenticeship. I've started showcasing my work. Now I'm putting my mark. That's when I become a master mason kind of stuff. Uh, Governance wise, you join only after you become a master mason. That's the easier idea. Otherwise, it is technically that bridge between second and third degree. That is exactly what it is. See, the earlier mark degrees were always associated with Royal Arch. And by the way, in Scottish and Irish, it is still there. And in other parts of the world as well. In Canada, it is still there. In even US, it is still there. Now, this development followed soon after that of Royal Arch. So that gap is there where you're like, okay, I've done craft, I'm done Royal Arch, and suddenly mark is coming. In some cases, what happens is you're done craft, you do mark, and you do chapter. Personally, and this is my personal opinion, not of my lodge or my mark lodge or of my grand lodge or of my any other governing authorities which I'm part of. I personally feel that makes sense. Once you become a craft member, after that, jump into this as a mark degree so that it kind of gives you an idea. Yes, as I said, why chapter was important is because you lost something, you found something. That's absolutely there. But that story doesn't go away. You're still lost. No tension whether I found it today or tomorrow. But mark kind of bridges that gap of where exactly you suddenly started doing better. And considering it is the same temple, it kind of helps you. It kind of showcases, oh, this is something more which I have actually done. That is why it makes more sense. I still have not got the secrets of Master Mason, but that's fine. This is where exactly it is going. So this is where it kind of grew. But I think somewhere in 1813, and I think this is where I think, Shishir, you will bring that point of where exactly it comes in. When that whole joining of modern and ancient, that two concepts had started, rather the two grand lodges were there at existence from in the 1700s, right? When they came together, mark was quietly kept aside. Because there was a lot of discussion on what exactly should I consider the completion and all. See, every other degree will come up and say, oh, I am this, I am this, I am this. Please understand, Master Mason, being a Master Mason is the pinnacle. That's where the story should ideally end. But these other degrees and these other orders adds value to it. So when the joining happened of craft and chapter in 1813, when this, by the way, is from the England perspective, not from any, it's only the England perspective I'm talking about, not even Indian, because Indian didn't even exist at that time because we just followed that concept in 1813. So Grand Lodge of India obviously didn't exist. It only existed in 61. So we will obviously have to understand the history of how it came into being. United Grand Lodge of England, when it was formed in 1813, bringing the moderns and ancients together, they said it consists of 3 degrees in Masonry and the Holy Royal Arch chapter, so that it gives you the understanding, the philosophical element and the spiritual element in together, which on its own are beautiful. Then comes mark. They removed the mark and kept it aside. No discussions about it. People were actually allowed that they said, okay, you know what, you need to learn more? Come into the mark to understand where that gaps are, what those things, and where that gap is actually very, very important. The reason is to suddenly start appreciating more of your own craft degree, of your own chapter.
Welcome to the 3rd season of the Ashlars podcast. We are thrilled about our progress and, more importantly, grateful for your support and encouragement. We are going in strong with ever more energy and passion into the third season of our humble little initiative. That is, to show the true light of Freemasonry by being India's first and only podcast on Freemasonry. In this season, we continue to highlight papers by Indian Masons and showcase the wealth of Masonic knowledge and wisdom in India. Additionally, we will also shine some light on various other degrees beyond the craft, with a view to help Masons discover the true joy of being a Mason and expand their horizons. As a disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely of the participants and do not represent any official positions, including those of any Grand Lords or constituents thereof. Best efforts have been made to keep the conversation on the level for brethren and non-Masons alike.